What is up, everybody? I'm George Mossey. I'm here with my co-host, Heather C. So, Unexpected, episode 5 has aired. Jenna and Aiden were not on the episode last night. Heather C. was in Pittsburgh at the Justin Bieber concert, and I had heard through Instagram that so was Jenna. So, I hope you both had a great time at the Justin Bieber concert last night. So, let's jump right in and talk about what has happened on the episode tonight. So, Lily and Lawrence are still moving. We're into the third episode of them moving, and spoiler alert, they have not finished moving yet. They are still in the process of moving, and it's chaotic. Things have gone wrong left and right, and the truck size was incorrect. They didn't have the right truck. No one has showed up to move. But the biggest thing this episode was there's an issue with putting a bed for Aaliyah in the bedroom. And this is something that Lawrence is completely adamant about that he doesn't want. And I know this is a issue that a lot of couples have. It's easier to take care of children when they're right next to you than in another room. So when you're waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning or you're doing different things, it's very easy and convenient for you to have your child with you in the same room. So I feel like this is a common issue, but it's becoming a huge issue for them because they haven't really been able to come eye to eye because neither one will compromise. We've heard Lawrence say absolutely adamantly, no, there's no way that they can do this. And we've heard Lily say there's absolutely no way this is not going to happen. So what do you think? How do you come to a compromise when no one is willing to compromise?
This is a weird situation where I kind of see it from both parties' perspectives. I understand that Lawrence looks at it as like, well, first of all, it's a space issue and maybe a safety issue because it's like, it's an apartment, it's smaller, so if you have like their bed, her bed, a crib, that's a lot going on, and he's probably like, I want my privacy. I want us to be able to have a healthy relationship without rolling over or one of the kids being there. But then I also see it from her perspective because she's probably like, I'm getting up with them in the middle of the night. My daughter, she's transitioning from living with my mother, her grandmother, to, this new place. And it's a lot for a small child. So maybe if like they come to the realization, because just because you put a bed in a room doesn't mean it's set in stone. It's movable. It's a lot of work, but it's movable. Maybe, just maybe, they could come to some type of like mediocre mediation type of thing where they meet each other both ways by, how about for the first month or a couple weeks or whatever, she sleeps in here, and then I'll slowly transition her to her own room. And then maybe, she could sleep in the room with her daughter in her room until she falls asleep. So that way, mommy's here, but this is your room. So that way there's a happy medium. That would make all parties happy. But I don't know, because they're so strong-headed, if they're willing to budge. But that's a good suggestion, at least.
It's definitely a good suggestion. They have to compromise here, and I think that they're very strong-minded people. They're very determined to get what they want and do what they want, and I feel like that's great in a personality trait. It's horrible in a relationship because in a relationship, and especially as parents, a lot of compromise takes place. And I just hope that they're able to do it because Lily's mom is like, I wonder if I should just tell her not to leave, not to move out
No.
too much for her.
No.
I think that, she just wants her daughter to be around and be closer. I do think that this is a growth experience for her to go out on her own, be able to compromise and realize that being a mother is not really about doing exactly what you want. It's coming to an agreement with the person that you're with and making sure that that works. So we're going to see what happens when they actually move, because guys, they still haven't moved yet. We haven't seen them move, haven't seen the new apartment. So we're going to see what happens then, and hopefully things are back in order and going well. So let's talk about Kylan and Jason, right? So they go on a fishing trip with their friends, and Kylan decides to bring Keegan, baby Keegan, who's apparently 4 months old now. And they decide that, well, obviously, because in real life, if you have a baby, you have to bring your baby everywhere. So I feel like Kylan is definitely on the right page with this experience. And she's like, oh, well, I'm going to bring the baby with me because if this was our actual baby, I would bring the baby with me. Jason sees it completely differently. Like usual, he feels like this is stupid. This is a waste of time. We should be having fun. But when you decide to become a parent, having fun takes back burner. You don't really get to decide when you get to go out and when you get to have fun. And then when you do get dates to go out, it's few and far in between. When you do have someone to watch your child, it's probably once a month or twice a month rather than you get to go out and do what you want to do. And we did learn that Kylan's dad he has kidney disease and he was giving 2 years, and that was 6 months ago. And he really feels like he's being put on the back burner as well. He feels like he hasn't been able to see his daughter, and he's really worried that when his grandson is born, he's not going to be able to spend that bonding time with him. And we found out that Kylan and Jason are sharing a cell phone, which makes it even more difficult for her parents to get a hold of her and tell them how they feel, because they feel like whenever they want to have a conversation with Kylan, it has to go through Jason, making it really difficult for them to express how they feel. So I'm really worried about this situation, especially for Kylan's parents. They feel like they've already been tossed aside, and they also feel like they don't have any way to get through to her.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot right there. Like, first of all, I wanted to say that I commend her for taking this baby, even though it's not real, it's a fake piece of plastic, as he likes to say. But I like that she's taking it seriously, and I like that she's like, okay, if this was my baby, this is how I want to treat it. And she's looking at it as, wow, I'm taking the time and the initiative to try to be a good mom, and you act like you don't care. I often wonder, because he is so young, is this a red flag of how he might be? Now, I know that's triggering, and if he was watching this, he'd probably like, whoa, okay. But no, seriously, I know that they're young. I know that they're teenagers, and that can be embarrassing because people look at it as like, oh, they're carrying around a doll with them. But you know what I mean? So I get where he could be embarrassed, because if it was a real baby, that'd be one thing. It's a human being versus just a doll that cries. Some people will be like, oh, look at them playing house, but it's beyond that. It's really to see, can you handle it? It's actually more beneficial to have it before you get pregnant. So that way it deters you to see if you're really strong enough or not. But it's a little backwards, but to each his own, it's fine. I also feel horrible for her parents, because you can tell that they're trying to respect their daughter and let her grow up and do what makes her happy, but they're hurting inside while they're trying to sacrifice their happiness for their daughter. My heart breaks for her dad, because first of all, can you imagine knowing your timeline in your life? Somebody telling you you have X amount of time to live. I don't know what I would do with myself. I mean, we live in this world not knowing what tomorrow brings. Right. And he has an expiration date that was given to him. And hopefully it could be one of those situations where he makes it past then and he's like, one of those special cases. But it's like, that has to be horrible. So he feels like, oh my God, time is running out. Time is running out. I only have this much time. I need to be with my daughter. I need to be with my grandchild. And I just hope, I know she loves her parents, but I just hope she can put her boyfriend and that aside just for a minute and spend whatever time she can with him before she regrets it in the end.
I agree. Jason is healthy and he's not going anywhere. And I know he wants her around and he wants her with him. He said, I kind of want her around me all the time and she follows me around and I like it. So we know that he does like that. But like you said, time is limited and I want her dad and her mom to feel, and I'm really worried about her mom, because if this timeline does pass through, who's going to be there for her mom? I feel like she's kind of put them both on the back burner, but I just want their relationship to grow and be more close. And she needs to spend these last times with her parents and just spend as much possible time together. It's just, It's such a hard story. And I know she's ready to move out. She's ready to become an adult. She's ready to take on responsibility, but you have your whole life, to be an adult. You do not have your whole life to have your parents there. So I just really hope she's able to realize the importance and how precious it is to have them. They're both here right now, and spend as much time with them as possible.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we have run out of time in part 1. We're going to come back to part 2 and talk about Emerson and the situation with her mom. And we're also going to talk about Tyra, Tiara, and Taylor. All right, guys, I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Heather C. Thank you so much for joining us for the Unexpected Podcast. Make sure you're live tweeting with us every Sunday night, and we will talk to you all really soon.